Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing? Good morning, Patrick. A very light viewership. Maybe my headline was misunderstood with the reference Final Dead and Company show last night, and so I had to sneak in a little Grateful Dead lyric reference. Eyes of the World. So we got a very light economic week to this week, but we do have key earnings and we also have July option expiration, July OPEX this Friday. So even though it's a light economic week, we have a lot of other stuff happening still, so don't get caught off guard. We had a little toppy price action on Friday. So let's see if we get any follow through. Hey, Jacob. All right, today we just had the Empire State Manufacturing Index come out about 35 minutes ago. A little better than forecast, but down from previous. Good morning, Sterling. Is your vacation over? Are you back at work yet? Tomorrow we got the most important thing is pretty much retail sales. That's about one of the biggest releases this week, which is tomorrow. Forecast to be 0.3, previous was 0.3 year over year. Forecast to come down a bit from prior. And you got minor red book tomorrow, industrial production. We got some Fed speak. Then we got mortgage stuff and crude and building permits on Wednesday. We have our jobless claims in the Philadelphia Fed regional index on Thursday and consumer board leading index. But again, a lot of this is minor existing home sales. And Friday, just the rig counts. So for OPEX Friday, we just got the rig counts. Now, so far this morning, you got Tesla, I guess, up because of the Cybertruck announcement. Nvidia is up. Apple is up. What is this? Specialty chemicals. Ooh, Lynn. Down pretty big there, but sort of a mixed market this morning. Quiet Monday. Basic materials down. Let me just do a quick refresh here. Technology and consumer cyclical up slightly, but basic materials is a big pullback. So watch that sector today. In terms of Fed watch, we're still for, let's see, we have 9 days. 9 days left. That's not this Wednesday. Next Wednesday is the Fed meeting. 96% for one more rate hike, and then the pause through next January and a cut in March. So, and we're also still in extreme greed. The current market valuation, which was updated last week, is all still very, very overvalued with everything. The only thing that's close to fairly valued is the interest rate model, but everything else is overvalued to very high. Schiller PE is still exceptionally high, 31. So either companies have to start doing massive earnings beats or multiples are going to have to contract at some point. So that's where we sit there. Back from vacation, ready to make some money, trading a well, now you have to pay for the vacation. Oh boy, Gamma. Big key thing to watch for this week. Remember, we'll have a lot of option Gamma rolling off this week, and option Delta will have to get reset going on Friday. But the key number is really easy. 44.97 is 4,500. 4,500. If we do drop below 4,500 going especially into OpEx at the late the week, you'll get some put gamma really kicking in and some call gamma dropping pretty rapidly, and that would take it into negative gamma mode. So that's the only way I'll start looking for a bigger decel or a bigger move pullback, as if it really starts breaking 4,500. Today, there's not much in earnings. Tomorrow we got more of the banks, Bank of America, Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, you got Lockheed Martin, PNC, BNY. After close, Interactive Brokers, one of my brokers. We got Western Alliance Bancorp. But then going Wednesday, we got all important Goldman Sachs, which is really rounding out a lot of the banks and Wall Street firms. After close, we got Tesla. Netflix, United Airlines. Thursday, we got Taiwan Semiconductor, American Airlines, Johnson & Johnson. We got Capital One after the close on Thursday. And what else do we have? We got Amex on Friday. And that's where that sits. So from a tech perspective, you really got Tesla and Netflix. Everything else is a lot. There's just a very heavy week in some conglomerates and banks. Alrighty there. All right. Good morning, Anissa. Thank you for tuning in. So, we're getting daily cycle back to the top area. We did get that little pause, run up, and then pause Friday. You can see here the key area is still back. The rotation zone is about 45.04. You got 44.95 area. So anywhere in there, and that's that all important 4,500 on any pullback. That's the key area I will be watching for. Is there any bigger topping pattern besides that pullback on Friday? No. I'm going to be keeping an eye in intermediate term. If we do pull back this morning in the open about 45.20 and then 45.17, we start breaking below that, I will watch for a more substantial pullback, but that would only be around that 44.95 to 4,500. It's really got to get, and I'm not expecting today to have any major momentum below 4,500. Remember, we're going to get some interesting price action. That would be an interesting thing going into Friday if we even make another push up, then pull back and really start pinning that 4,500. But we shall see. In terms of cycles, dailies trying to get a bottoming in so far. This was cycles went down, and it was a strong move. Well, not strong move, but more of a sideways and then a breakout move up last week to the upper end of the channel. Still, the key thing would be a final push to 46.48. Does not have to happen this week. We could get option expiration out of the way, then a final push higher to that very key area. Hey, Heinrich, thank you for tuning in. So that's the key area on the NASDAQ. I just recommend, if you're charting this at home, watch the 4-hour rotation zone first and then the daily rotation zone. The major area on the NASDAQ is about 15,371 to 15,400. On the 4-hour rotation zone, it's sitting there. You see Friday's move pulled it back. If we pull back more, we have the clear path move coming up. I'd be watching 15,600 as the first support, and then the next key area before that 15.4 would be about 15,470. Other than that, looking higher to reconnect with that 87.5, it's 15,982 to 16K. But that would fulfill the 87.5 rule. Dow does have a little mini double top. Dow does. It would need at least a 4-hour close below 34,495. And that could lead us also into an advanced clear path move here. 34,347. I just make that 34,350 for the first target. 34,272, 34,198. So 34,200 would be the pullback, and that would be a pullback within consolidation. So far we're having a choppy consolidation. Again, we've hit upwards here, this above 34.8, 34,775, 34.8. There's been a lot of selling pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4 days of it. If it starts to gain momentum through there, short positions up here, I imagine it's going to be a pretty tight stop, so we could get some momentum. And that momentum, 35,025 and 35,170 to 35,204 would be my next key target area. The Russell, so far pulling back to the daily rotation zone, still holding. We're still well above Friday's lows. So on any pullback, I'm watching the daily rotation zone, and Friday's lows about 1931. Below there, into the rotation zone, 1920. The only way I can get overly bearish is if the 1920 starts breaking on a daily closing basis, and then the next key level would be 1900, bottom of the rotation zone. So VIX slightly elevated today from where we closed on Friday, but still very low. There's nothing going on here. Again, 15 is the level that only will make me sit up and take short notice in the short term. The notes trying to hold around this prior breakdown level. If we do break above 113.03, 113.15 and 113.27 area are the targets I will be looking for. On any pullback, I'm really focused on about 111.29. Other than that, there's not a great pattern in the notes so far. The yield has returned. You see the massive plummet last week, but it's back to its prior breakout levels. So that's where we sit. You know, there's a lot of selling pressure up here by the prior highs from the March banking crisis. The 10-2s hit the first target and pulling back to the trigger point, but that's really about it. Dollar index trying to get a little minor support. I'm still watching 98.75 on a closing basis. Do we have a strong bottoming pattern in here yet? No. If on any bounce play, I'd be watching with a reconnection to, first off would be the 4-hour rotation zone. And then it would be the daily rotation zone. The 4-hour rotation zone coming in about 99.85. The daily rotation zone is the prior breakdown area. In order for me to get interested, all from the long side, it would have to get above 160 again on a closing basis. Everything else would just be a bounce and then a rollover trade at this point. Crude pulling back to the prior breakout area after hitting the 200. I will be watching to see if this can hold anywhere in here between this is 74.50 to worst case 73, and then we get a rotation move back up to retest that 200. Other than that, not much there. Gold hit the first target and now pulling back, so I'm going to watch 1942 for key support. What else we have? Hold on real quick. Yen. Remember, we broke a very key trend line and below support. We're retesting that now. If it can get above the trend line, the major resistance is now is 140.10 area. So then I'd be watching for a potential secondary rollover and a pullback to get a stronger potential bottoming pattern, but nothing yet. And again, right where it's trading now is we've already kissed the trend line goodbye and it's back to retesting prior support becoming resistance. So I am aware we don't have to bounce back that much. We could get another rollover play before there. Euro. We're pausing at the harmonic. And it is very overdone with overbought and cycles at the top. Now, we could get a sideways correction. If the dollar can get any rally on, again, this is where I'm watching the 4-hour rotation zone. So far, the sideways corrections happened there. But on the bigger pullback, it would be about to I'm just look about 118, 111.80, sorry, 111.80 area. Pound, I'm watching for a little bigger pullback. Also, cycles rolling over now to overbought, but I'll be watching for the reconnection with the daily rotation zone coming in about 129.80. Sterling super chat. Car's been a textbook PTP weekly double bottom. Thank you for the super chat out of my half position at 54. Well, let's take a quick look at that. Thank you for putting that in there about the super charts. Again, you see your learning stuff, and the weekly doubles are fantastic. Yeah, they can take a while to play out. That's why timing's hard, but you know, if you stick with it, look, first pause, it triggered, and it took a few months. But there you go. You're out. You know, half now. There's no way you're gonna lose money on this position. No way. You got a little potential little double top here, but you know that could be a sign if you want to take more off the table before a push higher, or Up here, even if it gets up to 54.96, I'd actually be watching also for a reconnection with this 55.67, which is a major topping area and would also complete the 87.5 rule. Good job sticking with the trade, Sterling. I know it took a while, but once it got some momentum on, you also been collecting a minor dividend too. So, good job. Everybody, shout out to Sterling for sticking with the trade. Tesla looks like it's going to open at the 87.5, so reconnecting with the 87.5 rule. So finally re-hitting there. Now that's not the major 87.5, that was the minor 87.5. But Tesla, remember earnings on Wednesday. We're getting some divergences up here. We'll have to see if this potential little mini double is wiped out today. But that's the only thing I'm keeping an eye on from the bearish side going into earnings. Above there, 290. And then 290. And what else is the next key target area at this point? At this point, I'm ratcheting up to the latest move. We would be looking at roughly around 300 and then the 314 to 317 area if it does continue to push higher. I'm watching really at this stalling out somewhere around this 87.5. NVIDIA, push higher and then a close back down on Friday, but looks like we're going to bounce up today. So the only bearish thing would be the gap fill. I'll get to the spiders and the Qs in a second. 454.69 would be to the gap fill on Friday, but I'll be watching for now a push up and to see if we make a more substantial topping pattern. Spiders and the Qs. Spiders and the Qs. Again, little gap down in the spiders for on a rally anytime, not even today. The gap fill would be to 449.28. Support, my very key support level now is coming out. If we do pull back this week in the OPEX is 444. 444, which would reconnect us with the daily rotation zone and the breakout level. Prior to that, though, we do have some gaps left behind. We have a gap left for Wednesday the 12th, which is at 446.02. So any pullback targets 446.02, then 444 to the upside. Remember, the next major target is 463.50. The next minor target area would be, we hit the 451.50 on Friday, so the next minor would be 459.35. Everything else, if we need a bigger pausing bar, then we could do the really short-term harmonics. So that's key. Cycles are getting to the top. And again, remember OPEX this week. NASDAQ looks like a slight gap up today. We'll be watching to see if we do the more substantial topping pattern. The reconnection, the 87.5 rule, the reconnection with that would be 389 roughly. So 10 points higher still to the upside. Major support coming in at 374. That would reconnect it with the daily rotation zone. There's just minor toppy stuff from Friday. I'm still watching for another rotation back up to see if we get like a 4-hour double top or some kind of stronger topping pattern. Other than that, remember, any pullbacks to these daily rotation zone on any of the financial indices is just a normal pullback. There's not any technical damage done. Alrighty. So I think that is about it. What's been interesting is Apple has not gotten anywhere. I'm really watching to see if it closes below 187.04. Apple's earnings are scheduled for the 3rd of August. So we still have a ways to go for Apple earnings, but I'm keeping an eye at what would be the bottom of the daily rotation zone and this little breakout point. It has not been able to get much traction. If it pushes up again, it's closer to this little gap up today. But if we get up to this 193.5 area, I'll be watching for a double top pattern to possibly form. If we break out to the upside in Apple, 196.34 would be the next key minor target area. All right. What else? I'm just glancing at a few of these. Microsoft, this is a very sloppy topping pattern, but what's interesting, if it breaks, if we get a retrace and we do break below 327, all key moving averages would be out of the way, and this key topping pattern would kick in. Earnings from Microsoft aren't till next week. So I will keep an eye on that also. We have Netflix this Wednesday. This Wednesday, you have a waning momentum triple top pattern with divergences. If we start closing below 432, I will sit up and take notice because we could easily reconnect with the 50 then. So those are some things I'm keeping an eye on this week. With that, I will wrap it up. Hope everybody has a wonderful trading day and a fantastic trading week. Remember, don't get caught off guard with OpX on Friday. Economic news isn't major this week, but we've got some key earnings, which definitely, especially if they're misses, could start a slightly bigger pullback. But again, 4,500 in the S&P is very key. Until then, I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.